Welcome to the New Process Podcast. Learn all the tools, methods, and best practices combined with people, emotions, and a human-centric mindset to rethink your process and push it to the next level. And here is your host, Mirko Kloppenberg.
Yeah, welcome to episode 66 of the New Process Podcast. And actually, I'm back with the podcast, back at Fleesensee, and back with new experiences to rethink processes. Well, this episode is going to be a bit different compared to the ones you know from the past. It took a while to record the next episode. Last time I recorded an episode here at Fleesensee with Henrik, and some of you may already read about that. Right after that vacation, I started working for Techniker Krankenkasse. Actually, also a funny story, which I can tell you in a few minutes. And today I'd like to use the occasion to talk about what happened since the last episode and to share some insights into my activities throughout the last few months. And as I said, I started working for Techniker Krankenkasse. Actually, I met one of my now peers at the BPM Stammtisch in February this year. And I just asked her about how the job posting was going. I knew that a few months ago they were looking for a lead for a team, which is more or less the core team for developing the methodology and enabling the people in the organization for BPM. And due to the fact that I was quite interested in how this went, and because it's a position in Hamburg, it's close to where I'm living, and I was just curious and asked her how it was going, and she said, "Not that good, but what about you? Why don't you apply for the position?" And I said, "No, I don't want to." And a few months later, I joined the organization, and I'd like to tell you why I did this. There are two reasons. So the first one is that after 2 years of consulting, I was really interested in taking over real accountability for processes again. Yeah, doing consulting is super interesting. Is something I really love, to help the people, but you're not ultimately accountable for what is going on with regards to BPM in an organization. And that's what I was looking for and what I was really interested in, because now I'm the one who is accountable for the topic. I'm heading there. And so that's why I took over that position. I have a super cool team pushing ahead BPM within the organization. We're part of a bigger team, of a big department with nearly 80 people there, really powerful. I talked about that in the Prozessphilosophen podcast already a bit a few weeks ago. And second reason, what I also really love is the impact. Yeah. The impact we can reach as a small team pushing processes ahead in the organization. An organization with about 12,000 employees, if I'm not wrong, and with more than 12 million people being insured at, I guess, the biggest health insurance provider for Germany. And this is more than 10-15% of all the inhabitants of Germany. And there you can really make an impact with processes. And that's why I'm so excited about working for Techniker Krankenkasse now. And in addition to that, I'm still doing consulting. I try to push new processes ahead, rethink processes for sure, and try to truly make a difference there. And so this was just a logical step for me then to take over this position. I also enjoyed vacation time with the family in between. In Austria, Italy. That was super nice, and we ramped up everything. And now we're back here at Fleesensee for a week of vacation with the family to recharge the batteries for the rest of the year. And I continued consulting. That's mainly the reason why it was a bit quiet on the podcast as well as on LinkedIn and the newsletter, because I was heavily involved in some consulting work there, helping organizations to get to the next level with regards to processes. And I learned a lot, and I'd also like to use this episode to share my learnings with you. So basically, the whole year, I've been focusing on building process-oriented organizations, doing coachings with people from different organizations and helping them to get ready to push their process to the next level. Building process-oriented organization is always also one of the big topics that you mentioned in the new process survey for 2025, and I'm going to ask you again now, what are your topics for 2026 coming up? So there is a new survey which is online now with publishing the podcast. You can just go to newproslab.com/survey to participate and to share your top BPM topics for 2026. So they will help me to set the right focus for the upcoming year, and also to share the learnings of what the people out there, what the community is working on in the next year. So to share this as well, so that you can see what others are working on that fits to my challenges there. So that's basically the idea of the survey. So it's just a core, basically this one question. So it doesn't take more than 5 minutes. So just go to newproslab.com/survey and share your BPM topics 2026. I'll put the link into the show notes, and I'll share the link at the end of the episode as well. So don't worry about that. And what I would like to do today in this episode is to talk a bit about my learnings from the past month. So as I said, I took over the position for Techniker Krankenkasse. I've been doing a lot of consulting with other organizations, and I've been basically focusing on building process-oriented organizations. And one of my core learnings there is that it is essential to have a process of process management defined for your organization. You cannot talk to all the businesses out there, to all the business processes, to the owners of these processes, and tell them to manage that process in a structured way, to map the processes, to talk about process targets and improve the processes, automate and so on. If you're not having your own process of process management in place, having that defined and explaining to process owners, for example, how to manage their process in a professional way. So if you are providing process management to your organization, it's so important that you have your own process in place as well, and be a role model there, and then execute this process of process management. Also for the topic of BPM, so starting with developing a process strategy first. Yeah, maybe you also are crazy enough to talk about purpose in the beginning, and that's something which is often weird to talk about feelings and emotions and how you're contributing to the overall purpose of the organization on a more emotional level. Yeah, so that's why the new process lifecycle starts with developing a process purpose, but at least starting with the second phase, developing a strategy for BPM. That's so important, to take a look at the business strategy of the organization and find the implications onto the topic of BPM, and then define a BPM strategy for your organization. This will influence all the other steps, like how you are documenting your processes, for example, how the roles are defined, and at which aspects you are supporting your process owners, for example, in managing and improving their processes based on the strategy for the topic of BPM. So there you have to be a role model and also develop a process strategy, develop process targets, what you would like to achieve. Yeah, measurable, smart process targets. That's always good to have also for the topic of BPM, to know what you want to achieve and to really create an impact there. So, and then enable the people for this. Yeah, implementation is not just about publishing a process in a system. It's more about thinking how the roles can be enabled. And this is the second part. So first one is have a process of process management in place. But then second, you need to define the process management roles as well. And this is what I see often out there, that, yeah, there is the role like a process owner or process responsible or process manager or however you name it, defined as a title, but not all the details are there. And then it's really hard to tell a person, now you're a process owner, but there is no process and there are no details on how this role should be executed. So think about this. And there, as I already shared that in the previous episode, you really have to differentiate between design on the one hand side and execution of the processes on the other side. And these are two different accountabilities or responsibilities. And the process owner role, the role of the process owner itself is only accountable for the design of the process, not for the execution, not in the role of the process owner. This is always part of the execution where you have a line manager role, for example. So the person leading the people executing the processes, that's the one who is accountable for the execution. And it can be that this person also takes over the role of the process owner. Yeah. So then if you are holding both roles, that person then is accountable for the design and the execution. But with having just the role of the process owner, there is only the accountability for the process design, yeah, defining and process strategy, for example, and so on. So that's part of that role. So that's the second part, to have the roles in place there. And then my third learning is that you need to provide platforms for these roles, yeah, on the different levels. If we're talking about managing business processes on an operational level, then you have to make sure that it is defined how the process owner and supporting roles like process architect or process manager, that these are the roles that I'm using, come together on a regular basis to talk about operational topics like, is the process performing? Are we contributing to the targets? Are the people trained? What changes do we have in the basic requirements? What ideas do the employees have to improve the processes? So this is also an important platform that a process owner has to provide for a specific business process. on an operational level. And then you also need on a strategy level another platform where you can provide insights to on a lower level to lower management levels to make sure that the process fits to the requirements of the execution, but also on a senior management level for a strategy review. You need to provide a platform where the process owners need to have a platform to talk about what is going on for their processes. And same applies to the process of process management as well. So make sure that you will have on an operational level a platform, a meeting in place where you meet on a regular basis with the ones who are managing the process in the different locations, for example, or at the different locations or in the different areas of the organization. And secondly, that you have a platform on a senior management level to create visibility for the topic of process management as well. So that's with regards to communication platforms there. That's super important to have this. And then the fourth part is having a process architecture in place. So based on the process strategy to think about, how do we want to document our processes? How should the process architecture look like? How are we going to map our processes? What is the purpose of documenting processes? So if your process strategy is to automate processes, and you would like to use process documentation to create code and to put that on the process engine and to execute processes, then you might need a very detailed modeling approach like BPM 2.0. But if the purpose of your processes is to create a shared understanding among all the employees, to use the processes to onboard new employees, to identify ideas for improvement and to manage your process more on a management level, then maybe a detailed BPM 2.0 process notation is a bit too much for your purpose there. So that's the fourth learning that I have, that you really have to think about how process documentation and the architecture will contribute to what you would like to achieve with processes in your organization. And maybe there's a need to have two different levels of detail for modeling of processes, depending on the maturity level of the process or what you want to achieve with these specific business processes. So that's something what I also learned, to have this in place as well. And then from a human-centric perspective, to involve the people, that's something what I'm observing so often now during the last weeks and months, that you have to create transparency about what you are doing, what you would like to achieve, to invite the people to participate in the workshops. And this, it costs a bit more time in the beginning, but it will really help you in the end for sustainable implementation of processes. So involve the people. And then second, there with regards to new process principles would be to trust the people. This is obviously not normal. Often people tend to control other people, to monitor what is going on, and to really micromanage processes. But maybe it's not really necessary. So if you train the people in proper way and provide all the information they need, can be, and I'm quite sure it will be, that the people will execute the process in a way it is supposed to be, even without having this micromanagement in place. And then third one is talk about feelings. You might know this from the new process calendar 2025. how does this process make you feel? But I take this really serious, talking to the people and asking about emotions. What did you feel last time executing this process? What did this made with you? And where are activities that suck energy? What activities provide energy to you? So this is something I really love talking about in workshops. And these three aspects, like involve the people, trust the people, and talk about feelings. These are basically the three aspects I wanted to share with you with regards to my learnings throughout the last few months here. So, you see, even if I haven't been publishing content lately, a lot of things were going on with consulting and with rethinking processes. And as I already said, to me, building a process-oriented organization will be the key to be successful with processes also in the future. But I'm curious what your topics are for 2026. So that's why I'm inviting you to participate in my survey to identify the top BPM topics for 2026. Just by going to newprocesslab.com/survey, it will take about, I'm not sure, maybe 5 minutes max to fill out the survey, maybe less. But I really appreciate if you take the time to share your top BPM topics for 2026 with me. And I'm going to share the results with you, with the community afterwards, end of the year. And there will be another podcast episode talking about the topics for 2026. So for sure, next year I'll be continuing experimenting with rethinking processes, finding new ideas on how to do this on newprocesslab.com with the community. I've been doing a lot of research on finding a human-centric BPM tool, which was not that successful as I expected it to be. So the tool question is also still on my mind. If you are still looking for a really human-centric BPM tool, I'd like to invite you to just send me an email to talk about that. Just send me an email to mirko@newprocesslab.com, and I'd like to share some of my ideas with regards to human-centric tool with you. Maybe we'll find a way next year to push that topic ahead as well. So I think that's it for the brief update here today, to give you some insights on what is going on in the life of Mirko right now, and to share my learnings with you. If you would like to learn more about how to build a process-oriented organization, you're also invited to take my mini course, the free mini course, by going to newprocesslab.com/roadmap. This is a course I created, which you can use to prepare yourself for the next steps to building a process-oriented organization. So that's it for today. So thank you so much for listening. Have a great day. See you and bye-bye und auf Wiedersehen.
You've been listening to the New Process Podcast. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode for more tools, methods, and best practices to rethink your process and push it to the next level. Thank you for listening.